Is sustainability the future for commercial real estate development? Let's find out. How did you get into sustainability?
I'm a real estate lawyer, and I've been involved with a real estate company called Mariner Asset Management. My two partners, Michael and Mark Wojner, convinced me to go to a green convention in Chicago. At that convention, President Clinton was the keynote speaker. We listened to his speech, and which was very well attended, and by the time the speech was over, we were convinced that building green was the way of the future.
I convinced them to go out to a real estate conference sponsored by the U.S. Green Building Council in Chicago. At the end of that conference, all three of us had decided that we were going to build to a super premium green level, Platinum LEED, which is the highest level of sustainability for commercial office buildings.
What are some of the values that you have found in building green?
The old perception was that it was much more cost effective not to do it. The reality is that it probably costs between 3 and 7% more to build green when doing it from scratch. The amazing part is you will more than make it up in what you save, from the standpoint of use of energy, the use of water. It is, amazing. My partner, Mike Cabot, is probably going to talk to you a little bit about the specifics of our project up in Lake Mary and, the percentages of savings that are involved. But it's absolutely amazing, and it would always make the end user, whether it's a tenant or a potential buyer, very excited about, being an occupant of the property.
Can you give me a couple of specifics about how your green building is going to be sustainable?
Absolutely. We actually have a way to collect rainwater off the roof and then store it in underground cisterns underneath the parking lot. This water will be used for non-portable uses, namely flushing toilets, watering the landscaping, etc. We actually have the ability to use 90% less water from the local utility than competitive buildings in the marketplace. This advantage during a time of extreme drought will give us a competitive advantage than our peers. We're also using highly engineered building systems that will allow us to be 68% more energy cost effective at $40 oil than our other competitors. And this translates into a higher rate of return for our investors.
What are some of the other people that are in the industry? How have they responded to the green building?
Generally, it's very well received. We have had the opportunity to speak to prospective tenants, prospective buyers, and like anything else, everyone's excited about the concept. When it's finally built, and I think building green is the way of the future. I think we can't afford not to do it, and I think if you want to be environmentally sound, and if you care about the environment moving forward, that's what we're doing, and I think that's the way of future development in general.
Michael, what do your colleagues think about this?
Some of my competitors think that I'm spending too much money and that it's just going to be a disaster, but that's because they feel threatened by this particular project. Other people that we speak to feel very strongly that we're moving in the right direction. And according to a whole slew of studies that have come out in 2009, building green is the direction commercial real estate development will be going to. We have experienced a paradigm shift in the consciousness of green development. Green development allows for greater productivity in the workplace. We have now been able to quantify that. Green development is better for the surrounding areas, for the surrounding environment, has less impact on the community. Water is going to be a major issue going forward, and green buildings will play an integral part in curbing the appetite of a particular community in using that precious resource, water.
At first, my colleagues were a little bit skeptical, and mainly that's through ignorance and lack of knowledge. But as time goes on, and as you have the opportunity to explain all the benefits of building green especially when you get to the issue of cost and you show that the cost is not so prohibitive and that it is only 3 to 7% more than building the old-fashioned way. They're very receptive, and most people are business savvy and understand that future tenants and future buyers are going to respond well to this kind of thing as well.
What do you do personally that's sustainable?
Sustainability actually is a state of mind, and it's about choices and making good choices. What I try to do in my life and my family's life is we try to do simple things that basically create a sustainable lifestyle. One of the elements that we try to incorporate is to buy all our food within 100 miles of our home. Being here in South Florida, we have the ability to use a lot of farmers markets that is locally grown that we can incorporate into our diets.
What are you doing personally that's sustainable?
Well, personally, I enjoy being outside quite a bit. I'm an avid tennis player. I love the beach. I love swimming. I enjoy just being outside. And I am fortunate that I have 2 wonderful young sons. I like to bring them with me. And anytime I can get them on the tennis court or get them in the pool or the ocean, and we're not spending time in front of the TV or the video games, I feel that that's a success.
What do you think is the future for sustainability in building?
The future of sustainability is the norm. We are no longer going to be categorizing buildings as sustainable or having systems which actually rate the level of how energy efficient a building is. Building owners who do not embrace this will be left behind and have buildings that are functionally obsolete, where tenants will not want to be or be associated with. So the future of green building really is the future of commercial real estate.
Hello and welcome to ProCon. This is Dave Kettlewell.
Todd V.
Let's talk a little bit about the segment we just saw. Would you like to go first?
Oh, absolutely. I started the last one. This is all you.
Okay. I was interested by what they had to say. I would imagine, like most Americans, we're taking a look at some of the things that can be done with buildings and asking, in a decade or a 20-year time period, how many of these ideas will be shown to be valid and the exact ones that will be applied. I don't think anyone questions that green building in commercial and residential makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
That is a given. The specific solutions and which will be the most cost effective, jury's still out.
Well, there's definitely, we are at the very cutting edge of this stuff, so it is going to be hard to say. Absolutely, at this point, one's going to break out to break even or cost savings. But I think in a climate, especially like Florida or the South, where they've been having these serious drought conditions, that water solution that they presented, hard to argue against that. Being able to be almost 100%, well, I think now 90% self-contained, that's important in times when we saw just last year, I think it was in North Carolina, those lakes were just drying up, the ones that were the source of fresh water. So hard to say that's wrong.
Sounds like a good solution, possibly.